Welcome to the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast, where it is never too early for fantasy football. My name is Jeff.
Alex.
As always, thank you for downloading, listening, liking, and commenting on our podcast videos. Please join our community by subscribing to us on the socials. Our handle on all platforms is at N2E Fantasy. We are also available on all major podcasting apps by searching N2E Fantasy. Alex, what do we have on today's show?
On this episode of the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast, we are doing our Week 7 preview. So we are making our picks, predicting winners, and we will discuss each matchup and highlights as this week approaches. So, Jeff, we are going to get kickstarted here with the Sean Payton Bowl, the Broncos at the New Orleans Saints. We'll just note that the Bears and Cowboys are on bye week this week. Who are you taking between the Broncos and the Saints? And are you starting or benching anyone in this matchup?
So I'm going to start the normal cast. If Olave plays, I would start him. Kamara plays, I would start him. Shaheed appears to be out for this game, or might be limited for this game, so that's something to keep an eye on. But this game is shaping up to be Spencer Rattler versus Bo Nix, but it's the Sean Payton Bowl, as you said. And I am going to go with the Denver Broncos in this matchup, and we're going to see Sean Payton get a little bit of revenge.
I was not expecting you to go that route, but I'm also taking Denver. It does make a difference with Olave potentially being out, with Shaheed, potentially being out. But I also think that we don't know for certainty if Patrick Surtain is going to play on a short week with that concussion. So it's going to be a close matchup, but ultimately I think Denver's still a little bit better than the Saints at this point.
Anything that I missed on starting or sitting?
Would you start Bo Nix in a Superflex league this week?
Maybe. I think New Orleans defense could be a good play here. I think Denver's defense could be a good play here. I think this game could be lower scoring than expected.
Yeah, I think it'll be a sloppy, low-scoring Thursday night football game.
Absolutely. We're due for one, right?
Yep. Back to the good old days where they were the worst game of the week.
Yep, absolutely. Speaking of worst game of the week, we have the London matchup with the Patriots at the Jaguars, and this might be the worst matchup of the week. The Jags, back-to-back games in London, as we noted before, and this is a must-win game for Jacksonville. On Jacksonville's side of the ball, I would start Lawrence in a pinch. I would start Bigsby this week because I don't expect any ETN, and we saw what Mixon and Pierce did to the Patriots last week, and I can't imagine traveling overseas makes their defense play any better run defense. And Evan Ingram is probably the lead receiver that I would start for the Jaguars right now as well. And then you could start any of the three Jaguars receivers that you feel comfortable with. On the Patriots side, I mean, I don't know if Stevenson will play in this game. He missed last week as a last-minute scratch. May is a possibility that you could play if you need a streamer this week, but with only two teams on the bye, I can't imagine someone would need a streamer. But that's an interesting one. Douglas is one that I would try to pick up off of waivers and at least stash them. But other than that, Hunter Henry maybe as well I would consider throwing into lineups. But Alex, who are you taking in this game, and who did I miss?
This has been a tough one for me because I feel like on paper, Jacksonville staying there the whole week should have the advantage, but I'm a big believer in May. I think Ramondre is going to be back, is my guess. I'm going the Patriots in this one.
Okay. I'm going to go...
It's going to be May.
All right. And I'm going to go the Jaguars in this matchup. First difference.
I thought we already would have had two.
You're a little disappointed, aren't you?
A little bit.
I do like the whole London in for a whole week thing.
Yeah, that made me almost pick the Jaguars.
Yeah, it did make me pick the Jaguars. Great. So the next matchup is our Sunday matchups during the day. And the first one is the Bengals at the Browns. And this matchup is the 2-4 Bengals at the 1-5 Browns. So I did not expect 3 wins between the two teams coming into this matchup. But for this particular matchup, I would consider starting Jerry Jeudy, Nick Chubb. Someone's going to have to catch the ball for the Browns. So, and David Njoku, of course. And then when the Bengals said, I'm firing everyone up. Chase Brown is the only running back I would fire up for the Bengals. But give me the Bengals in this matchup.
So I will never start a Browns player the way things are going. If Nick Chubb is miraculously healed at some point, I would recommend starting him. But Judy is trash. He might end up having an okay game just on pure volume. I'm going the Bengals, obviously. I don't think that there's any doubt about that. And I would start Burrow because he's been a top 4 quarterback all year. I would start Chase, Higgins, other Chase. So that's pretty much it.
Is that his name now?
They got 2 Chases. They got 2 Chases.
They do. Well, one's a first name and one's a last name. All right. So that brings us to the Lions at the Vikings, and I'm going to let you break this one down because this is a personal game to you.
Well, the Lions are flying high after destroying the Cowboys, and as you brought up in the last episode, the Lions could have exhausted all of their frustrations and emotions, had it as a mid-season little Super Bowl, and could come crashing down after this. They're playing a very hot Vikings team that's 5-0, coming off their bye. They blitz a lot. They've got a top defense. Their offense looks good. So this is a game that the Lions can hit a brick wall. For me, those are all valid, but I don't think that the Vikings will stay undefeated, and I think that they've been overperforming in a lot of ways. So this is really tough. I also will throw out there that Goff does not do well against teams that blitz heavily, but I can't see Darnold and the Vikings continuing. Like, something's got to happen, and I'm going to pick this week for the Vikings to start coming back down to earth. So I'm going to go Lions.
Oh man, I knew you were going to do that. I have to pick the Vikings here for all the reasons that you listed, but still went the opposite way. And I just think Kevin O'Connell is actually a really good coach and can coach offensive talent.
I agree. I just don't think Darnold is that good. Brian Flores has had success before, but teams usually figure out his defense.
What happened to give quarterbacks some time? They need 3 or 4 years to develop. And now you're not a Darnold fan?
Well, Darnold has had, 27 years on 5 different teams? Like, what is it? He's been in the league for, 7 years, been on 4 teams?
So, if you had to guess, how old would you believe Sam Darnold is?
Is 28 or 29?
He's 27 years old. He just turned 27. He is
the oldest 27-year-old I've ever seen.
He was drafted in 2018, so this is, you're correct, his 7th NFL season. But obviously some dysfunction with the Jets, some dysfunction with the Panthers backing up for the 49ers. And now he gets his first all-to-himself gig with a real good offensive coach with offensive weapons. So, I don't know, man. This might be we need to see 3 to 4 years before we give up on them.
It's year 7, Jeff.
Hey, it's not an exact science, but it's some time.
If it's Anthony Richardson, give up on him immediately. But if it's Darnold, you hold out hope that he goes through all these different coaches and then finally has a successful offense.
Exactly. Okay. You finally get it. I'm so proud of you. You're probably starting everyone in this matchup because I can see it being potentially high scoring. Anything else on the matchup?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
All right. We got next up the Texans at the Packers. Since you took the last one first, I'll take this one right here. I think this could be one of the highest scoring games of the week as well. I know both of their defenses are good, but I do think both of their offenses are better. So this could be a lot of points in this matchup. I have a really hard time picking against the Packers at home, so I have to take Green Bay in this matchup, and I'm starting everyone.
I think that Stroud so far in his 1.5-year career has had worse performances at away games, and in the Packers, Green Bay is a very tough place to play. With that said, I think Stroud is better than Love is. And I think that the Texans defense was bolstered by Autry coming back from suspension this week. I think Lassiter will be healthy this week. So I'm going the Texans over the Packers. It's a very interesting matchup because the strengths and weaknesses line up so perfectly between the offenses and defenses. So this really will be a measuring stick for both teams to see how far they've come. And I'm very eager to watch it play out.
Me too. I do have a question for you. Do you believe this week you're going to pick a home team at all at any point?
It's very away heavy, but I do have home teams.
So you like the road teams this week?
It just happens that I think a lot of road teams are better than some of the home teams.
Okay. So we're going to hop over to the Dolphins at the Colts. You're picking the Dolphins in this matchup, and why is that, Alex?
I flipped this a few times, and I actually am taking the Dolphins in this one.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know.
Anthony Richardson's awesome. He's coming back. Tyler Huntley, let's pick you.
Well, Dolphins had the week off, and if Mike McDaniel's gonna save his career as the head coach there, I'm sure he schemed some stuff up while they were off. I think that the Dolphins defense is better than the Colts defense. I think the Dolphins have a chance to shut down the Colts no matter who the quarterback is. This week, it's just can the Dolphins score points is the big question. Achane should be back from a concussion. Mostert should be pretty close to 100%. I think that they should be able to get their ground game going. I think that they should be able to get their wide receivers involved. Won't be pretty, but I think that they could win a relatively close matchup.
Give me Anthony Richardson and the Colts in this matchup. Jeez, I did not see that coming. I did not see
like I
that
said,
coming.
I switched this one back and forth a few times. I switched the Lions and Vikings back and forth a few times. It's a much tougher week than last week to predict.
It definitely is. And we're going to hop over to a divisional matchup where the Eagles visit the Giants. And why are you picking the Eagles in this one, Alex? I actually tried to trick you there. It's actually my turn to pick first here. But I expected Eagles pick from you, and that's kind of what I was saying there. I'm going to go with the Giants in this matchup. The Eagles have a lot of distractions coming off of last week's matchup, and I believe that Malik Neighbors will be back. I can't imagine him missing another week with a concussion, and he hasn't went on IR yet. So give me the Giants in this matchup.
I'm actually also going the Giants in this matchup because I too expect Neighbors to be back. The Giants defense has stepped up over the last 2 weeks. The Eagles have really struggled. They haven't done well in their prep. It doesn't look good for Sirianni. Doesn't look good for Kellen Moore. More games like the last one, I'm ready to call it for Sirianni and him get fired. Potentially ready to call it for Kellen Moore on his play calling as well. So we'll see about that. I think Daniel Jones has played better this year than I expected that he would. Granted, I don't think he's been spectacular or anything, but he's played pretty well. And with Tyrone Tracy and with a healthy Malik Neighbors, I think that they have a really good chance to upset the Eagles.
Yeah, so I fully agree with you on that as well. But yeah, if Philly loses this game, the Commanders win the game a little bit later on. Commanders are going to walk away with this division before you even realize it. So just some interesting things to look at.
Yeah, I think ultimately something has to happen to make Sirianni get fired, and then I think the Eagles will right themselves. But I expect the Commanders to come crashing back down at some point.
Absolutely. You keep waiting, but they did okay against the Ravens, which are a really good team.
But they lost, and that's going to start the cascade.
It was on the road by one score.
It was at their second home. Let's be real.
Okay. So that they're like their summer lake house?
No, but it's close enough for all their fans to still show up. Right. It's literally down the street. It's like an hour away.
Alex, this matchup's going to be very tough for you. And you're going to have to pick first on this one. But it's Seattle at the Falcons. You're probably starting everyone in this matchup. Who are you taking and why?
Oh, I'm taking the Falcons. Pretty easy.
That doesn't pain you at all?
No, it does not.
Well, I am also going the Falcons in this matchup, and I will explain why. It's because the Seahawks will be traveling to the East Coast on a 10 o'clock body time, and I expect that to impact them in this game.
Yeah, and the Falcons are a better team, so there's that.
Yeah, I think they're pretty evenly matched up. I think Seattle has the better weapons overall, and I think that Atlanta has the better quarterback overall.
I still think Atlanta has good weapons,
but DK, JSN, Lockett, like they don't have that depth where you can get off that first read.
Okay, I still like London, and I still like Pitts, and I think Mooney's had a pretty good year, and I think Bijan's really good, and Algier has been really good. So
Absolutely. I think these teams are more similar than we actually give them credit for, but I think it could be a good matchup. I think it could be higher scoring too.
potentially. Okay. Well, Jeff, do you think this next game is going to be high scoring? We have the Titans at the Bills. Do you think the Titans can upset the Bills, or do you think the Bills will run away with this?
I think this game's going to be a lot to a little, and I think the whole point of this game for Buffalo is to get Amari Cooper into this offense and get him feeling comfortable during it. And there's no better game right now because this is kind of like a mini bye week for the Bills, in my opinion. I'm taking Buffalo in case you haven't deciphered that yet.
I would also take Buffalo. I think that they have no need to rush James Cook back, especially against the Titans. I would keep
I'd probably
rolling
bench him.
with Ray Davis. Maybe go ahead and hand a ball off to Frank Gore Jr. so you can say that you handed the ball off to both father and son and get that out of the way. Keep everyone else rested.
Yeah, I think they could have a good opportunity here to get Amari Cooper and Josh Allen on the same page, also in real game action.
But we're both going Buffalo. Pretty easy.
We are. All right, next one up is for you, Alex, and it's my Panthers at the Commanders. And I know you've been going back and forth on this matchup. Where did you land?
I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to pick the Panthers.
Don't you wish that evil on me, Ricky Bobby? I want to organically get that number one pick.
I think this has a chance to be a high scoring game because I think both defenses are terrible. I think Carolina's offense is a little bit better than people think it is. The Commanders have been really bad against the run. They lost their best defensive lineman for the year. I think Chuba Hubbard is going to probably have over 100 yards rushing. I think that Deontay Johnson is going to have a good game. I think that Andy Dalton's probably going to have a good game. It's just, can Carolina outscore Washington? Can they even slow down Jaden Daniels? That's the question. I just think Washington has had such an easy start to the year. I think that something's got to change. And I think Canales needs to get a win.
I don't think that you're wrong on that, but we will see what happens there. But right, I'm gonna go the Commanders in that matchup. It hurts me because I'm a Panthers fan, but I think it's the right call and the right move.
All right. Well, we've had a few differences. Maybe you'll start to catch up to the differential here. Maybe you'll start to catch me, Jeff. Certainly throwing some odd picks out here, so should give you that opportunity.
Yeah, either that or you're gonna start running away with it.
We'll see, but we have 5 more matchups here. We have the Raiders at the Rams next, and I bet I could guess who you're gonna pick here. Who you gonna
Raiders
get?
at the Rams. So we're gonna get a returning Cooper Cup, which I would start this week, and I'm gonna go the Rams for that exact reason right there.
Yeah, the Raiders are in free fall. I think the Rams are a good enough team to recover and potentially still stumble into the playoffs. I'm going Rams as well.
All right, so you're at 1, 2, 3, 4 home teams so far, even though you like the aways this week. All right. Last of the Sunday afternoon games is the Super Bowl rematch of the Chiefs at the 49ers. Who are you taking in this matchup and why?
All right. I am taking the Chiefs in this matchup. Coming off the bye, they've got a really tough, sticky defense. I think that they'll make it difficult on the 49ers, slow them down a little bit. I hope it's a really good game, but we'll see.
Yeah, I am also going to go the Chiefs in this matchup as well. But obviously, these two teams should play each other pretty closely. And it doesn't make me feel great to have to rely on the receiving core of the Kansas City Chiefs and Juju Smith-Schuster and such like that. But I'll get over it. I promise. All right, Alex, you ready to hop over to the Sunday night football game? And that is the New York Jets and Devontae Adams visiting the Steelers with presumably Russell Wilson starting this matchup. Who are you taking in this matchup and why?
I'm going to take the Jets in this matchup. I think that they have to win. They traded for Adams. They're gonna have the offensive firepower. They have a good defense. I think the Steelers, with their throwing out rumors that they might start Russell Wilson and Russell Wilson's getting first team reps, I think that signals the offense is flailing, and I think they're going to shoot the confidence of all the offensive players by changing the quarterback at this point. Jets win this unless TJ Watt kills them in this game. So we'll see.
And that is possible with the bad offensive line. And I'm going to go the Pittsburgh Steelers in this one. I think for everything that you just listed, the desperation on the Jets will show here, and it will prevent them from being able to nail down the victory.
Are we starting or benching Devontae Adams or Lazard? Wilson?
Let's look at practice reports this week first. But I do plan on starting Devontae Adams in the leagues that I have him.
I think you almost have to start all three of those guys because you really don't know how it's going to shake out.
Absolutely, absolutely. Are you starting Russell Wilson this week?
I would start Fields if Fields is playing. Russell Wilson would be a low-end QB2 if he's the one getting the start. I think I'm probably benching Pickens either way because he hasn't done well the last couple weeks, and the Jets are a pretty tough opponent.
All right.
Probably starting Breece Hall and Najee, and then Warren and Braylon Allen, probably decent flex plays.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I don't know if you noticed on Monday night's game, but it felt like they were going away from Braylon Allen a little bit more and more into a workhorse role for Breece Hall. And it seems like that might be their new offensive strategy, but we'll see if that continues here in week 2.
Well, Braylon Allen had a goal line touchdown run that was called back for a penalty when they were throwing flags left and right. So I think he's still in the mix there and on some short yardage. I don't think he's going away forever, but I was encouraged that Breece Hall had a much better game.
Yeah, the touches in that game on Monday were 18 for Breece Hall and 3 for Braylon Allen. So I need to see one more game, but it does appear that that's the way that they're going with the new offensive. And it does make sense. You want to get your number one running back going and get some consistency there. But we can move on to the 2 Monday night games here. And the first one up, Alex, is the Ravens at the Buccaneers. And I believe this is my turn to pick here. This is actually a tougher game than people would think to pick. I think both are very high-powered offenses. I know the other week you were telling me how down the NFL was with touchdowns. I think this last week when we had a whole bunch of 50 and 40-point scorers, this week coming up, there's probably going to be some 40 and 50-point scorers as well. And I feel like we're going to right that ship of scoring deficit really quickly. And in this matchup here, I am going to take the Buccaneers in this matchup. This was a hard one for me, though. But the Buccaneers feel like the right choice for me here.
That is a tough choice. I'm going the Ravens in this one.
Always got to be different. Always got to be different. It's okay, though. You're probably going to be different on this last one, too. Because I know how much you hate the last Monday night game here. And that is the Chargers at the Cardinals. And so it's the 3-2 Chargers versus the 2-4 Cardinals. Alex, who are you picking since it is your upsies?
This is pretty hard.
I knew you were going to say that. I mean, you're wearing their color of their shirt right now. So I feel like just waiting for the reveal that there's a Cardinal logo on there.
I feel like most indicators lean towards the Chargers. I think the Cardinals probably should have a better record than what they have.
They can win any week.
It's a 50-50. I know you're probably going to go Chargers, so I'll just go Cardinals just to be different here. Things can happen with Kyler Murray scrambling. I think there's a decent chance Marvin Harrison actually plays. If not, they have enough weapons to make it interesting. Chargers offense has been pretty poor. They're not putting up a lot of points. Their defense has been pretty good, but Bosa might miss it this coming week. And they've played a lot of bad teams, so maybe their defense isn't as good as we think. I don't know, but I think this is pretty evenly matched.
We will see, but give me the Chargers in this matchup, and I think you can start Herbert, Murray, Connor, Dobbins, McConkey, and whoever the wide receiver one is for the Cardinals, and then also Trey McBride.
I don't know if you can start Herbert this week, but we'll see.
Always.
Okay, well, I think that does it for this episode of the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast. Thank you all for downloading and listening to this episode. please don't forget to like and subscribe. Please leave us a comment and share the show. Every little bit helps.
You can find us on all podcasting apps by searching N2E Fantasy and with our handle at N2E Fantasy on all social media platforms. Please join our community and give us a follow. Until next time, take care of yourselves and remember, it's truly never too early for fantasy football. Thank you again.
Bye, everybody.